Hello, fourth grade. Mrs. Hales here with another art lesson. Today I want to introduce you to the art of Wolf Kahn. He is an American painter who was born in Germany and moved here immigrated here when he was 13. He went to grade school in New York City and then he went on to join the Navy. After the Navy, he went to school in Chicago and got his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in painting. He is a painter. He works in oil paint, and he also works in chalk and oil pastels, so he draws with pastels as well. Let's watch this short video of him working.
Of course, I've painted by now, like all my life practically. I painted when I was a little kid. So I suppose a few things I do know how to do, but I always have a feeling that I'm doing something new. I'm doing something which I don't know how to do, which I don't even know quite what I want to do yet. What I like to do is set up a certain confusion. Try and make a few mistakes right in the beginning. It's always useful. Have a few mistakes. I want to start introducing those violets that I see in pinks. Pink first. Pink is really great today. Sort of a pink haze in the whole atmosphere. So let me put that in. That helps add to the confusion. I'm always talking about accuracy. I want an accuracy of feeling, really. So that what I'm painting and what I'm sensing is out there are in some sort of a very close relationship. I'm interested in where I am in relation to what's out there. You know, not really what's out there nearly as much as the position of the thing. In relation to me, the relation to the artist, to the viewer. I want all that in my picture. I mean, I really want to deal with what I see in front of me, but in the largest possible sense, you know, not in any kind of a copycat kind of a sense. I mean, I want always people to be aware that the artist is a human being responding to a specific situation. It's the response that I'm interested in rather than the specific situation. Scrub, scrub, scrub. I'm not a painter, I'm a scrubber. I wear out brushes at an alarming rate, but in the process, I have a lot of fun with them.
We are not going to be scrubbing and ruining our brushes like Wolf Kahn. He was super well-known and very successful artist, so he can afford to replace his brushes. Boys and girls, he was painting in Vermont, and where he and his wife had a home, and he mainly lives in New York City. Wolf Kahn died last year in March, so about a year ago, at the age of, he was in his 90s, I think he was 92. So he was born in 1927, so he lived a long, great life. Why do you think he said in the video that it's a good idea to make all these mistakes early? I think he meant at the beginning of a painting. I think he said that because he knows that he learns a lot when he makes mistakes. And if he can make them early enough in the painting, it's easy enough for him to respond to those mistakes or fix those mistakes. But if you make them at the end of the painting, it's a little bit harder because you might have to go back and redo a lot of your painting. Wolf Kahn is what's known as an abstract color field painter. So his work is abstract because it's not an exact representation, like a picture of something. And he wasn't striving for that. Like he told us in the video, he was striving to create a feeling or what it would feel like to be the viewer or the painter in that scene. And color field, because a lot of his work is about color, and color field painting also has to do with the way you put your paint down on the surface. You're not as concerned with highlights or creating form or volume. The color is more flat, like it's just a field of color. There's also no depth or perspective in color field painting. So all these paintings I've shown you are examples of his work, and you can see that his colors are not realistic or what we would think of as traditional landscape colors. And very calming. So today we are going to begin a Wolf Kahn inspired landscape. Our landscapes are going to be folded, and they're going to be one piece of paper, but they're going to be folded to have 3 different parts. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then our goal is to get this background, so 1/3 of the paper, the background page painted today, so that next class you can add color. Supplies you're going to need today are 12 by 18 piece of white paper. You need a pencil, you need some scissors, and the only other thing that you need today is some watercolor paint for your background. You need a watercolor brush and of course a cup of water with that too. If you have a ruler handy or something that's about 6 inches, you can measure 6 inches from one side of your paper. By the way, your paper is oriented wide or horizontally. The paper is 18 inches long, so you can divide it equally into 6-inch sections, 6 plus 6 plus 6. Then you want to fold your paper, lining up your edges so that there's 3 6-inch sections. Right now, it doesn't matter which directions your folds go, but when you open it up, you're going to want it folded like an accordion. So this top piece or the top flap is going to be your grass or your shrubs or whatever you have in the foreground up front of your picture. And that's going to stay there, and it's going to stay connected to the side. You can cut off the top part of that. Small part in the foreground or at the bottom should be about 3, 4, or 5 inches tall. And remember to leave it connected at the fold. Now I'm going to draw a big blob that is the top of my trees. You're going to draw in pencil. I'm drawing in pen so you can see it. And then I want to draw 3 tree trunks coming down from the blob that stop where my land begins. You want to leave your tree trunk or the top part of your tree connected at the fold, just like you left the ground or the foreground connected at the fold on the bottom. So I'm going to cut out on the open side, this section between the edge of the paper and my first tree trunk. And then I'll show you some tricks for cutting out the space in between the trees in just a minute. Just make sure you don't cut the blob all the way on the edge by the fold. I did that the first time I made my demo, and the top of your trees flop down, so they don't, because they're not connected to anything. So you'll see in some of my examples that I might have cut all the way through on that, but I don't want you to do that. So this space in between the tree trunks that you're cutting out, you're going to make a loose crease. You're going to make a little V or a slit with your scissors, and then you're going to go in there on the fold and cut all the way up to the blobby tops of your trees and all the way down the edge of that tree trunk closest to the fold. You're going to cut that whole space out. It's kind of like a long, skinny rectangle, and it's really the negative space. So it's the space between the trees that the viewer is seeing. And you're going to do this, cut this little slit, and then cut out the whole rectangle in between for each of the spaces in between your trees. Let me show you that one more time. You gently fold and then cut that fold with your scissors, and then you have a little V. You go inside that V with your scissors and cut out that rectangular space in between your tree trunks. I'm moving the paper in my left hand and trying to leave my scissors as straight as I can. And I have one more section to cut out, so I cut a V notch, put my scissors inside of that V notch, and go ahead and cut out this kind of long rectangular shape. So now I've got my ground, my foreground, my middle ground where my trees are, and my background, which is going to be where you can see through to the sky. Don't forget to write your name on the back, or you can write it on the bottom of the very background page. You're going to paint, if you have time today, with watercolor paint. You're going to paint that background, just one solid color. Pick a bright, lively, rich color that you love, that you think would work well with some of the other bright colors that you might want to color in your trees. Like, let's say you loved Wolf Kahn's purple trees, and you know you want your trees to be purple and yellow. So pick a lime green or some orange or turquoise, something that's going to look pretty with orange and purple. If you don't get to the watercolor paint part today, that's totally fine. You'll do that last next class, so it's totally fine. The cool thing about painting the watercolor sky background today is if you wanted to add some really fun, bright, rich, juicy color over that watercolor paint next week, you can, or next class, because it will have dried. But you don't have to do that if you don't have time. That's all for today, boys and girls. I'll see you next class and we'll finish these up.